This here is the GoPro Hero 3 Plus Silver that was released 10 years ago. It was my first ever GoPro, and in this video we're going to see how it's held up over the last 10 years. So as always, if you do enjoy the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and we're aiming for 10 likes on this video. So hopefully you enjoy. Let's get on with the video. So this GoPro Hero 3 Plus was released back in 2013, and when it was released there were 3 editions. There was the white edition, the silver edition and the black edition. The black edition being the most premium version. I ended up getting the silver edition, which slotted right in the middle of the lineup. So this camera's been lying in the back of a drawer for the last 7 years. I've recently rediscovered it and I want to test it out to see how it holds up in 2023. So I've not actually owned a whole lot of GoPros, so this was my first ever GoPro. The 3 Plus Silver. I got this in 2013. Used it quite a lot when I first got it. And then a couple of years ago I upgraded to this camera over here, which is the Hero 9. But yeah, let's revisit the GoPro Hero 3 Plus. So I've just got my phone up. We're going to start off by having a look through the specifications of this device because I'm actually quite curious and I can't remember. So specs wise, this silver edition of the GoPro Hero 3 Plus has a 10 megapixel camera sensor and it can shoot up to 1080p at 60 frames per second, which back in the day was actually quite good. Alongside the silver edition, they also released a more expensive black edition, which could shoot up to 4K, but capped at 15 frames per second, so it wasn't very usable for video. But that black edition could also shoot 2.7K at 30 frames per second. So as I already said, this Hero 3 Plus Silver Edition can also shoot slow motion at 720p, 120 frames per second, which was quite good. So now having a look around the exterior of this device, the GoPro itself wasn't actually waterproof. You did have to put a plastic housing around it to make it waterproof. So this is the clear housing that came with the device. As you can see, you need to put the housing on the device to actually mount it on anything. So I've just read online that with the casing on this GoPro Hero 3 Plus was actually waterproof up to 40 meters, which is actually very deep. So if you compare it to a newer GoPro such as this GoPro 9, this doesn't actually need protective housing, but this is only waterproof up to 10 meters without housing. So this is a closer look at the GoPro Hero 3 Plus. So as you can see on the front there is the little screen, power button, that's also a mode selector, some LEDs and the lens. So we're just going to start off by having a look at the mode selector. So you can select settings, video, pictures, burst, time lapse, and then it cycles back to settings. LED lights, one of them is for if you've got the Wi-Fi on. So you can toggle Wi-Fi on and use the GoPro app to control this device, which is very cool. Then on the top of the device there's the record button. And on the other side there's a little panel that you can take off. Then it reveals a micro SD card slot, a USB and a small HDMI. I think this is micro HDMI, I believe. And then it's one of those old-fashioned USB minis that you don't see very much anymore. But they are more durable than the micro USBs, so that's a thumbs up. Then on the back there is a connector, so you could actually get an external kind of monitor that you could put on the back, so you've got a screen on your GoPro. There's a little latch, so you can pull that and then the battery cover comes off. And there's a little tab, and then here we have the battery. So this is a 1180 milliamp hour battery, 3.7 volts. That actually takes up most of the space inside this GoPro, which is crazy, and there's nothing on the bottom. So over the 10 years that I've had this device, this GoPro has actually held up very well because I've used it with the casing on pretty much all the time. So there's very minimal damage to this, just a little bit of wear and tear over the power button. Moving on to the casing, so the casing hasn't held up so well. First thing you can see about this casing is it's quite scratched and there's a little bit of rust around where the metal buttons are. And I wouldn't trust the waterproofing of these buttons anymore. The rubbers inside probably perished. Up until recently this actually worked to this casing, but I did take it out a few days ago kayaking and because this plastic is old and it's probably perished, the top latch has actually snapped off. I wasn't particularly rough with this casing, I just used it how it's supposed to be used and this snapped off, so this casing no longer works. But yeah, so for those of you who are interested, this is how it's held up over 10 years. I don't really have anything to film. I'm going to pop some footage of when I went kayaking the other day. And there also isn't any stabilization built into this camera, which is quite a big downside compared to some of the newer GoPros. Don't even know what to shoot. Let's try and shoot some plants. Yeah, around with this. Right, this is just me walking, filming myself. See what the stabilization is. Does it look any better than my Panasonic camera that I'm filming this on? Also, I got this new Rode wireless mic. It's the Mark 1. I got it for about £100 on eBay. So hopefully this sounds better than my the previous mic. I was using like a Boya 20 quid lav mic. So one thing I have noticed is because this GoPro is so old and I've never replaced the battery, after 4 minutes of recording, it is now on 1 bar of battery, which is quite terrible actually. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna go back to my room to film the outro. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that subscribe button on the road to 1,000 subscribers and leave a comment whether or not you think the GoPro Hero 3 Plus is worth picking up in 2023, because I know you can get some very, very good deals on this. I reckon you could pick this up for less than £50. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. See you in my next video.